Episode 4. The Stranger I Met, The Bitter Taste of Marriage. Written by Ebery Chukwu. My mother left my house and went straight to our family home. With a heavy heart, she told my father and siblings what she had witnessed in my marriage. The Omugwo she came for, meant to be a season of joy and bonding, turned into heartbreak and futility. What should have been a time of excitement was instead a bitter pill. From that day, she often looked at me with pity, shedding tears in secret over the things she had observed in my home. Yet my family could do nothing. We were financially bankrupt, and as a Catholic Christian family, especially my mother, it was difficult to imagine pulling me out of my marital vows. I had undergone both the traditional and religious ceremonies. All the marital rites had been paid, and James had agreed to the conditions set before marriage. He had seemed so desperate, so completely devoted to me. But the man I saw after the marriage vows were exchanged was unrecognizable, a stranger I could not reconcile with the love he once professed. Marriage is not for the weak, my mother would always remind me. It requires prayers, understanding, dedication, commitment, and perseverance. But oh, dear readers, it was a terrible experience. To step into marriage with naivety and immaturity is one of the greatest mistakes anyone can make in life. I was still young and not very easygoing myself. Reckless at times, I did not care what would happen the next second. I was always ready for James's troubles, never minding the consequences. What did I know, really? Our marriage was full of storms, endless quarrels, fights, bickering, deceit, and negative influences. Because James was uneducated, he was easily manipulated by his friends. Any agreement we had reached during the day would vanish after he spent time with them. He would return home with a hardened heart, controversial and unstable, revisiting old arguments we thought were settled. I resisted him often, for I knew his decisions were not from a place of good conscience but poisoned suggestions designed by his friends to ruin my career and peace of mind. After the Omugwo saga, however, I grew a tough skin. I vowed to make progress in life, no matter the odds stacked against me. James's daily routine was predictable: eat, do his small business, drink to stupor, and return late into the night. He preferred the company of his side chicks and miscreants in beer parlors, drinking like fools, making pointless political arguments, and shouting over irrelevant matters. What a shame! A father emotionally and physically absent from his own children. When he did show interest in the children, it was with the iron hand of an army officer punishing offenders. His voice thundered, his movements were frightening, and his punishments were brutal. My son Solomon and his siblings often forced themselves to sleep before his arrival. The fear was unbearable. I would not wish such an experience on even my greatest enemy. Loneliness became my closest companion. I began visiting prayer houses, seeking solace, making new friends, and preparing for the uncertainties of tomorrow. One bright morning, I visited a prophet with my elder and younger sisters. "Young girl, you are married?" he asked. "Yes, sir," I replied softly. "You didn't inquire about the man before marrying him," he said. His words pierced me. I had nothing to say. He continued, "Notwithstanding, you're born for greatness. Listen carefully. Your education is the most important part of your destiny." I stared in dismay, my heart heavy with doubt and confusion. "Yes, my daughter," he insisted, "if you must succeed in life, you must climb the ladder of academics." At that moment, I remembered James's promise to my parents. When he came to seek my hand in marriage, my mother had said firmly, "James, my daughter must go to university if she marries you." He had agreed without hesitation. Clinging to that promise, I enrolled in a diploma and later a degree program. I struggled through, but by God's grace, I secured a job in a mission school after my youth service. During my 3-week orientation camp, banking was still underdeveloped, so I kept all my allowance in a small box. When I returned home, James demanded the money. I resisted. That evening, he beat me mercilessly, twisting my head and shouting, "Give me that money before I kill you here." But I held my ground. At that stage of my marriage, I had grown stubborn, adamant, even shameless in my resistance. His intimidation no longer frightened me. In a desperate act of defiance, I smashed all the bottles of beer he had packed. Startled, James ran out of the house like a coward, jumped into his car, and sped away. But he was unpredictable. I didn't know what he might do when he returned, so I fled to a friend's house nearby. I whispered to Solomon, my first son, to call me once his father had gone to bed. Solomon was only 10, yet he bore the brunt of my marital storms. He witnessed my tears, my fights, my shame. Each time James and I quarreled, Solomon cried until his eyes swelled. To make matters worse, James would abuse him, calling him all sorts of names. "You are a stupid boy, Solomon. Look at your head, just like your mother's. You are a foolish son." The words tore my heart apart. What an embarrassment, what cruelty, to an innocent child. Still, I consoled him. "Don't worry, son. Dry bones shall rise again." And Solomon, with tearful eyes, would always ask, "Mom, when?" He had 3 younger siblings, who would huddle together on one chair, crying silently, each time their father's rage thundered through the house. One night, when James was fast asleep, the children gathered around me. "Mom," they whispered, "let's run away. Let's go to a far place where Dad will never find us." Tears burst from my eyes. What a life! Misery, fear, emotional blackmail, and sorrow. I urged them to sleep until morning. But when I entered their room at dawn to wake them for school, my heart froze. The room was empty. I rushed to the kitchen door. It stood wide open. "My children! Where are my children?" I screamed, my voice cracking like a child's. To know where they were, dear readers, you must follow up into episode 5.